Just enough support. Just enough support is a planning process to explore how we can provide just the right amount of support for people and increase the opportunities for people to be connected within their community. If we use resources effectively and actively reduce reliance on paid support, whilst working in ways that enhance relationships and people being a part of their community, then we can achieve a win-win for the person who may have a wider variety of connections and relationships, also for the organisation, who are then able to target scarce resources more effectively, and for the community, who benefit from the diverse contributions and presence of people. Meet Becky. Becky's 27 and has recently moved out of her family home into her own flat. She, her mum and her team had already developed her perfect week to describe to everyone involved in supporting her how she wanted her week and month to look. Becky's perfect week included her job at a local nursery on Mondays and Wednesdays, going to amateur dramatics on Thursday evenings, going to the gym with her mum on Monday evenings and having Sunday lunch with her mum, and a ceramics class at the local college on Tuesday evenings. Becky, her mum and team were thinking about the support that she wanted and needed to achieve her perfect week. They decided to have a meeting to work through the Just Enough Support process. Before the meeting, they checked that the perfect week really reflected what mattered to Becky. They did this by looking back at her one-page profile and by checking that the people and places that were important to her were present and that the things that she wanted to change, keep the same, or wanted to achieve, such as her aspirations and outcomes, were also present. They also checked that they were clear about what resources Becky had, and this included her allocation. The next step was to think in detail about the support she needed to have her perfect week. Her team had already looked at the support she was getting currently and had recorded this on a daily support record. This showed the support that Becky needed, but it also showed where support wasn't necessarily needed. Becky and the team added this support to her perfect week and thought carefully about how to describe it. For example, Becky goes to work at the nursery on Mondays and Wednesdays and is accompanied by a member of staff. Instead of writing it like this, they wrote, "Support with travelling to and from work." The next step was to come up with creative ideas about how Becky can have the right amount of support for her perfect week. This starts by asking the following questions. Can family, friends, neighbours and community help? Can assistive technology help? What about thinking differently about the home environment or who a person might live with? And finally, if none of these ideas are possible, what could staff do differently? Becky and the team came up with lots of ideas on how to have enough support for the perfect week, including how to get to and from work. Some of these were getting a lift from her friend who also works at the shop, getting a taxi, and using her smartphone to plan the route, with staff supporting Becky to build her confidence around using the buzz. This part of the Just Enough Support process helps us to think about alternatives to just having paid support by creating opportunities to make the most out of a person's gifts, skills and interests, build reciprocal relationships, explore community resources, and by choosing and matching staff thoughtfully. Becky and her team then checked whether all the ideas that they had come up with reflected what was important to her, as well as checking that they provided just enough support to help her keep healthy and safe. They then decided which of these options they were going to take forward and test out. Becky didn't want to have to pay for taxis to travel to and from work, as this would be too expensive, but she did want to feel confident to use the local bus and she liked using the apps on her phone. She was also happy to see if her friend would pick her up on the way to work and drop her off on the way home. Becky and her team then recorded their next steps in doing this on an action plan, so that everybody knew who was going to do what and by when. Now that Becky and her team are clear what just enough support looks like for her to have her perfect week, the next step is to make sure that the staff rota is organised around this.